Hey folks, Maria Kay here, and today I want to show you one of my favorite pieces of graphic software. It's totally free and it's easy to use, and it's actually kind of comparable to software like Photoshop. In fact, it can often be my go-to when I don't need all the extras of fancy design software. So let's switch over to the screen. I'm going to show you a few things. So what we're creating today is going to be some graphics for your social media. In particular, we'll be working with a quote box. So you've probably seen exactly what I'm talking about. It's like every other graphic on Instagram or on many social medias is a quote box. So it might be an inspirational quote, maybe it's a question, or maybe it's a quote that the person posting it said themselves. Either way, it's super shareable, super likable, everybody wants to comment on it, everybody loves them. So that's exactly what we're making today, and what we're using is a graphic set that I created, and I wanted to make it free for you guys today. So if you just click on the link below this video or in the annotation, all you have to do is sign up and you get the graphics pack and you could follow along with me. If you don't want to sign up, that's totally cool. You could probably use one of your own photos or any other graphics that you can source. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the first window that you'll see when you go to canva.com if you don't have a profile yet. So you want to either make that profile or just fill in your credentials like I have here. Go ahead and log in. And this is the interface, and it really couldn't be any more straightforward than this. You just sort of read through your options and navigate to the one that you're looking for. I always start with either one of these custom dimensions where I build my canvas, or the custom dimensions would be here, and those would be the ones that you enter yourself, but some of these are also custom pre-made for you. So those are available here, and you could always view more by clicking on this button. I'd like this graphic to be a square. That means that we can post it on Instagram, but we can also share it on any other social media site. So I could go to this Instagram one, but there's a bigger square option right here, and it's already pre-sized, so that's really convenient. I'll go with that. If I want to post it on Instagram, it'll always size it down for you. It's always better to have the social media platform size something down for you than to have it size it up, because then you run the risk of having something be pixelated. You don't want that. So here is our page, and on the left we've got a bunch of options. Again, super straightforward. You see this layouts tab is selected right now, but what we want is the uploads one. So once you download your graphics pack, this is going to be where you upload the elements. You're going to use this green button up here that says upload your own images. Just navigate to the folder, and the file types that we'll be using with Canva are always going to be PNGs, or almost always. There are some exceptions, but for simplicity's sake, let's just say PNGs is what you want. You would select the image that you want, and you could also batch select. That's a really helpful thing that Canva does. So I can select a whole bunch of these by just holding down the Shift key and click open. However, I've already got mine up for you guys, so you don't have to wait for them to upload. And once they're done uploading, they're all going to appear right here. So this is where you find them in the end. All I have to do now is select the quote box background that I want to use, and I'll go with this one today. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge it. Canva's sort of going to make everything that you put on the canvas around this size. If it's smaller than that, that's how you know that your image might be a little bit too small. You want to try and source a larger one. But this is just fine for us. I'm just going to drag it all the way to the edges so it's a little bit bigger. I'm not going to go with a Canva default here. You see these purple lines that are appearing across the middle? They're a little hard to see, so maybe I'll zoom in the post editing. But they indicate when our image is perfectly centered. So this is exactly where I want it to be. It's centered horizontally and vertically. And now we've got our background. Beautiful. So let's get some text over that sucker. I'm going to go back to the toolbar, click on the text tab, and here we have some, again, pre-designed options. It's another thing that Canva is really good for. It gives us a lot of pre-designed options, and most of them are totally free. However, they have very limited editing capability, so I'm going to go up here to the bare bones options. This isn't going to limit me in any way. So all I did was I clicked on that big headline font. It's kind of formatted to be headline text, and a text box pops up on my canvas. So everything inside those dotted lines is my text box. And I forgot to mention before, you see these sort of semicircles that appear either on the sides or on the corners of images. Those are control points. So I could drag them out to make these boxes or to make my images larger. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to kind of size it to the size of that, I'll call it the usable area of the text box, and move it up. And now let's see what happens when we get a quote in there. I'm going to show you a little trick for grabbing quotes. I like to use brainyquote.com. This site is totally public domain, so you never have to worry about usage rights, and you could type in any topic. It'll give you about a metric ton of results. So today, let's go with, path. How about that? I have no idea what's going to come up. I try to choose a fairly short one because that's usually easy to place, and it's easy for people, it's very consumable for people to kind of read quickly. Go instead to where I like this one by Ralph Waldo Emerson. That's perfect. So all I did was highlighted it. I click Command C on my Mac to copy it. You can do Control C on a PC. Bring it back over and paste by hitting Command V, and again Control V on a PC. And you could see that brainyquote kind of tagged on this line at the end. It tagged on the link. We don't need to post that, so I'm going to delete it. And what I want to do here is center align my text. So for that, you see all the controls for your text box are up here. So whenever you have it selected, those appear. I'm going to be highlighting my text a lot, and that's just a habit I've picked up from using Adobe software like Illustrator and Photoshop. So you don't actually have to do that. As long as you have the text box selected, everything inside will be affected when you change these options. I'm going to this drop down arrow, and here are my alignment options. I could do left, center, or right. Obviously I want to do center, and let me just go through really quickly. Here you see some extra things that you could do. You could change the transparency. You could even make it a link. Just remember that Instagram does not support links in photos. You can copy it, change the text and line spacing over here, and make them uppercase, and also bold and italicize if the font allows for that. So let's go with center for now. Fantastic. Just click off and place this where we want it. You can see it's a little too big, and we can fix that. We can fix that pretty easily by either changing the width of the text box, but it's still pretty huge. And don't forget, we still need to fit the name of our author in there. So yeah, we could change the font, and I also want to change the font size. A little too small. If you don't see the options that you're looking for in the menu, you could always type in your own. So maybe I want to make it just a little bit bigger. I'll make it 30. Perfect. And you see what my cursor changes into whenever I approach just the outside, the very outside of that text box. That's what allows me to move it. And I'm using my purple lines again to center it. Move it over. What you don't want is sort of this lonely little orphan word here and a line all by itself. So try to format your text so that doesn't happen. And that might mean changing the width of your text box or changing the size of the font. Okay, sweet. What you can also do to just double check that it's centered is use the graphic. My graphic is symmetrical, so I can really use it to center my text box. For some reason, those purple lines aren't showing up anymore, so I'm going to have to do that. Okay, perfect. Now I want to set up another text box where I'm going to write the name of the author. And that's very simple. I could go back here to these options, or I can simply hit Command key on my Mac. Just make sure that you don't have the text box selected, otherwise it's just going to write the letter T inside the text. So what you want to do is click off, hit T, and bam, we have a new text box. It's formatted to body text, but we can change that. We can make it larger or smaller, or change the font. I'm going back to brainyquotes, and because I am spelling challenged, I would never be able to actually spell that out correctly. I'm going to copy and paste it again, and I'm going to mix it up a little bit by doing a scripty font instead of the blocky one like we have above. It's always nice to keep your reader engaged by shaking things up just a little bit. With any font that's cursive, that's kind of curly and scripty like that, you want to make it just a little bit bigger than you want to err on the side of making it bigger is what I'm trying to say, because it's always going to be a little harder to read. That's just part of the nature of script fonts. And what else we could do is we could change the color, and for that I go to this color palette over here. You see we have a few pre-assigned buttons, but we can make our own by hitting the plus sign, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of match my background just a little bit. That way the colors sort of resonate all throughout the image. So I'll go with like a dark rusty red. Change it just a bit so it still pops. Perfect. And you see it added that color button straight to our palette. And now I want to do kind of the same thing to the author name, except I want to make it a little bit lighter so it's not as contrasted. You always want, it's always nice when you mix things up, not with just changing the fonts, but also with making certain elements more subtle than other elements. So that's pretty much perfect. Okay. Click off. Excellent. Another thing I'm going to insert here, I sort of just thought of this, is a breaker. It's always fun to get little linear elements in to break up different pieces of font or to accentuate certain lines. That's great. You know what, that's a little too bright for me. I'm going to mute it just a tad so that it does have that weathered look, the same as everything else here. Just a little darker. Shoot, it keeps trying to give me these bright colors. Alright, that'll do. Okay, so that looks pretty much perfect. I think at this point we can go ahead and download our images. You're always welcome to keep playing if you want to. Over here I go to the download button, and this is where we grab our image. I do not need a high quality PDF for this exactly. If you're doing something like print, you certainly want to hit that button. But for social media, I can just go ahead and grab it as an image. Canva is just going to take a second to prepare a download link and also to download it automatically. And it'll also give us the option to post straight on social media. So you can see here we could post it on Facebook, tweet it, or send it through email. But it also downloaded straight to my downloads folder. So I'll go ahead and grab it there. And I will see you guys in the next video.